This week on Full Circle Florida, is Tampa Bay about to lose its baseball team? This week, the war of words between the Rays and the Pinellas County Commission escalating into action or non-action. The new stadium deal now suspended. Are the Rays planning to leave? And who's to blame for the broken deal? The team, the county, or the hurricane? Pat Donovan, Aaron Jacobson with a very blunt conversation about the future of baseball in the Bay. And the changing tone in Tallahassee. This week, lawmakers signaling the culture wars are over, and next year they're going to focus on cost of living. Capitol Reporter Forrest Saunders with the winds of change blowing through the state. Welcome to Full Circle Florida. Power in politics is fleeting. You have small windows to get things done. Governor DeSantis has used his power to the fullest extent, from passing sweeping education laws to the abortion ban to the Disney wars and managing the state through the pandemic. No Florida governor, arguably, has wielded his power more unapologetically than Ron DeSantis. But as Capitol Reporter Forrest Saunders found out this week, that may be changing.
As Florida's governor ramped up his run for president, he was pitching and pushing through a lot of big GOP goals in the legislature. But it's a new year, we have new leadership, and a new president not named Ron DeSantis. Does that mean we'll start to see some legislative autonomy? Maybe.
As the gavels get ready to drop on a new legislative session, Florida has new GOP leaders at the helm and a lame duck governor inside the EOG. Even so, Governor Ron DeSantis got plenty of compliments during this week's organizing session.
Governor DeSantis, thank you for being here today. You've led with conviction, and your work in partnership with the Florida legislature has made Florida the envy of America.
But the sounds of legislative autonomy were present as well.
It's a game of labels and leverage for the purpose of ego and credit. I understand the game. I'm opting not to play.
The new House Speaker, Danny Perez, told us he has plans to reel in the state budget, which is ballooned to nearly $120 billion with DeSantis behind the veto pen.
We were at $82 billion when I entered the legislature. That was only 7 years ago. This was not a long time ago. We have gotten to close to $40 billion since then. That's a huge increase. Everyone has to be held accountable. We have to have transparency. Where is the dollar being used? Why is it being used? And how is it being used? Across the board, we will be looking into the budget.
Perez also sounded bullish on doing more to cut high property insurance rates, despite the administration highlighting signs the market is stabilizing. Senate President Ben Albritton echoed those concerns too, warning insurers in his speech, quote, "We are watching." The new leader also shot down a potential for full open carry in Florida, something the governor has wanted.
I've been super consistent as a legislator to support law enforcement in Florida. And I'd encourage you to check that record. And I stand with them today in opposition. They oppose it. I trust my law enforcement officials, and that's where I stand.
So will we see a major departure from DeSantis? Well, political experts don't think that's likely. Even with that failed presidential bid, the governor still holds sway in conservative circles. He just helped defeat two major constitutional amendments and knows how to work the levers of government.
He's got his legacy to think about. He's got 2 years, and he knows full well that the projections are for Florida's growth to slow down. So he too has some ambition and aims about his own legacy. So the idea that one will be a pushover for the other, that's not realistic politically.
And beyond that, even Florida's Democrats, like new Senate Minority Leader Jason Pizzo, believe goals are more universal in the coming session.
It has to do with infrastructure and the environment and resiliency and insurance and affordability and housing, and that affects Democrat and Republican, black, white, Hispanic, rich, poor, inland, and coastal. So we're all finally here, and the people are now demanding that we get the work done. Probably not sexy, probably not a bunch of clickbait words, and so I think we're going to do a lot of good.
All right, let's bring in our political analyst, Dr. Susan MacManus. So you wonder how effective the governor will be. I mean, they say this is his lame duck period, but he's about to make some pretty big decisions. He'll decide who's going to replace Senator Marco Rubio. He'll set up a special election to replace U.S. Representative Mike Waltz and Matt Gaetz. So how powerful do you think the governor will be in these last 2 years?
Let's face it, he also is concerned about his legacy. Yes, he's got 2 more years, but he knows that if he has ambitions to run for higher office after that, how he performs in these, quote, lame duck years can make a difference. So he's concerned about his legacy, as well as the legislature concerned about the fact that they just got told every day by people back home that they wanted things like property insurance and housing shortages addressed. But he also brings something else, and that is the fact that he pushed an opposition vote against 2 amendments that had tons more money in their favor. That would be Amendment 3 on marijuana and 4 on abortion. He helped defeat those 2.
All right. Meanwhile, Matt Gaetz, he backs out of the Attorney General conversation under these allegations that he paid minors for sex. I'm just curious, did he not think that this dirty laundry was going to come out no matter what? What was the point of all of this? It was a distraction.
The reality is sometimes people in power just think that they're invincible, and that's true in life, whether it's corporate America or whatever else. It looked like he thought that if he resigned before they released that ethics investigation, that he was home free. Wrong.
And can he get his old seat back? I mean, there's questions about that.
He said that he's not going to seek his old seat.
All right. Meanwhile, you've got these allegations against Pete Hegseth, Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense. Do you see that being a tough confirmation process, or do you think the public might have enough of this by now and say just I don't know. I mean, I know it's not up to the public; it's up to Congress.
Yeah, he's probably the next one in line to really face a lot of scrutiny. We don't know how it'll turn out, but these are very unusual picks. This was an unusual election. He read it as a change election. He's not just appointing Washington insiders to these positions. Of course, the proof is going to be how it turns out when all is said and done.
Disruptions in D.C. to come. All right, Susan MacManus, hang with us. Next on Full Circle Florida is baseball on death row in Tampa Bay, and who botched a $1 billion deal. What we found out this week.